using those predictions as a challenge, they responded, that is, the team and the coach responded to that by establishing a new school record for the most wins in a season, most wins in Big East Conference play, and of course they have claimed their first share of the Big East Conference play title. They can also look forward to their first NCAA tournament bid since becoming a charter member of the conference in 1979. So it gives me a great deal of pleasure this morning, and again an honor, to announce the Chrysler Big East Conference Coach of the Year to a man who has joined an elite group of Division I coaches in achieving the 300-win plateau. And I give you no one else but Jim Calhoun of the Huskies.
Coach of the Year was not an easy thing to talk about in many, many ways, because it really isn't, and I know it's cliche-ish and sometimes corny, and I'm not very corny, but it is really us. By that I mean the Huskies. When I told the kids that last year when maybe someone felt they should be on the rookie team, or someone felt they should be on this team or that team or whatever should happen, I said, you know, that's not the deal. The deal, very simply, is when we win, everybody gets rewarded. And I've preached that to our kids time and time again.
Live from Madison Square Garden in New York City, it's the Big East Conference quarterfinals between the conference co-champion University of Connecticut Huskies and the Seton Hall Pirates. These clubs, of course, met twice in the regular season. UConn swept them by 3 in New Jersey, by 22 at Gampel Pavilion in Storrs, Connecticut. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Big East Conference Tournament Basketball. I'm Gil Santos along with Ronnie Perry. The Huskies 12-4 conference co-champions. Seton Hall 5-11. Ronnie, what do the Pirates have to do to try to come out of here with an upset?
Well, they have to handle pressure in this game, Gil, and very important is they keep their poise as a team, particularly in the backcourt and at point. A lot of pressure on Oliver Taylor. He'll have to be good with the ball today. And inside, Franz Volsky and Anthony Avent have to get the job done together, scoring and rebounding. Michael Cooper's been very consistent at the 3 spot. The big guys have to deliver today. They've got to hit the 3-point shot with DeHare, and P.J. Carlissimo knows that his team has got to take good care of the ball against UConn pressure, and he knows that Taylor will have to deliver from the point guard spot. He's playing very well lately, coming off a 21-point game and a win at Alumni Hall against St. John's, 16 against the Orange Men of Syracuse, as you see right here. He'll have to deliver with the ball, shooting today and passing it. And Terry DeHare, his backcourt mate, all Big East rookie team, has been dynamite this year, has really come of age, can shoot the outside shot. If he can get his first couple of shots to go, particularly from 3-point land, he could have a very big day, and the Pirates need that.
Those 2 guys in the backcourt, keys for the Seton Hall Pirates. The University of Connecticut, this is the winningest team in the rich history of UConn basketball. 25 wins. They're the highest scoring team. What do they have to do, Ronnie, to avoid an upset?
Well, they've just got to play the good defense. That's really what's got them here, and they've got to do that right from the opening tip. They've gotten off to a very quick start in a lot of games this year. As a matter of fact, at Gampel, they jumped out 13-0 en route to the 22-point win. Got to shoot the ball well today. They're only shooting 42% in Big East play. If they can shoot it along with their defense, it'll make their task that much easier. And forcing turnovers, that's what Jim Calhoun has gotten his team to do all year long, forcing opponents into 22 turnovers a game. And you have to give Jim Calhoun a lot of credit for molding this very young team. Chris Smith leads the team in scoring. He's been dynamite. He can take over the game with his quickness, and they'll rely on his scoring today. And what more can you say, Gil, about Nadav Hunefeld? He's done such a great job this year for UConn. He's been the glue man. He can hit the big 3. He leads the team in steals. He's second in the country in steals and leads the Big East in that category. He's done a great job.
That's the way this one's shaping up. The UConn Huskies, the conference co-champions, against the Seton Hall Pirates. This is game 1 of the Big East quarterfinals. We'll be back with the starting lineups after these local messages. Square Garden, Gil Santos and Ronnie Perry for game 1 of the Big East Conference Tournament, the quarterfinal matchup between Seton Hall and UConn. Here's how these 2 clubs match up coming into this game. Their overall records: Pirates at 12-15, the Huskies at 25-5. The one key area in this ball game, as you look at the matchups in terms of statistics, is that UConn forces 21 turnovers. Seton Hall turns it over 18 times a game. That's something to look to. Right now, let's go for our starting lineups this afternoon for game 1 to public address announcer Mike Walsuski.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Today, it's the quarterfinals of the Big East Tournament. And our first game features the Pirates of Seton Hall and the Huskies of Connecticut. Here are the starting lineups. For Seton Hall at forward, number 30, Franz Volsi. For Connecticut at forward, number 24, Scott Burrell. For the Pirates at forward, number 31, Michael Cooper. And for the Huskies at forward, number 40, Nadav Hennefeld. For Seton Hall at center, number 32, Anthony Avent. And for Connecticut at center, number 22, Rod Sellers. For Seton Hall at guard, number 20, Oliver Taylor. And for Connecticut at guard, number 13, Chris Smith. For Seton Hall at guard, number 24, Terry DeHare. And for Connecticut at guard, number 32, Tate George.
Our head coaches on the left, Jim Calhoun of the University of Connecticut. On the right, of course, P.J. Carlissimo of Seton Hall University. We'll be back with a tap-off of Game 1 of the Big East Conference quarterfinals right after these words from our local station. Points a game, they're allowing 74 points per game in conference play. There are starting lineups and matchups with the University of Connecticut Huskies starting Scott Burrell in a surprise move by UConn, Ron.
Well, he's a very quick athlete. He's come off the bench lately and given Jim Calhoun a big lift, so he'll get out there. He's a tough player on the press.
Seton Hall controls the opening tap. Franz Volsi to Oliver Taylor. There you see the season series swept by UConn in the overall 15-11 lead in the series. This is Oliver Taylor, who's gotten better and better as this season has gone along. Had a great game against Syracuse toward the tail end of the regular season. Nearly beat them and actually tied the game with about 3 seconds to play down in New Jersey. Michael Cooper, strong inside man, doesn't get it. Franz Volsi misses the stuff. The ball is stripped by Tate George, but a foul is called on George as he reached in and fouled Anthony Avent.
Well, UConn opens up with some very aggressive man-to-man defense. Jim Calhoun wondering with his staff why they couldn't come up with the rebound inside, but UConn now will trap on the inbounds play.
Cooper squeezing away from the pressure of George and Burrell. And Oliver Taylor brings it back out to balance his floor and get things squared away.
Now, the big thing UConn has to do whenever they play zone is know where DeHare is, and he's on the weak side right now. The biggest zone threat for Seton Hall.
They swing it to DeHare, the freshman from New Jersey, Anthony Avent. Seton Hall very patient. They're down to 17 on the shot clock, still plenty of time. Avent in trouble low. Kicks it back out. Volsi to DeHare, the freshman. On the right, this is Cooper. Avent shot doesn't go. UConn hauls it down. Rod Sellers to Tate George.
Good half-court defense by the Huskies. Both teams, of course, need to break ice in this game just to let the adrenaline settle down a little bit.
Both appear a little tight. DeHare 3-on-1. Cooper finishes it off.
That's a nice fast break by Seton Hall. They'll need to cash in that way today. Cooper been very consistent this year for the Pirates.
Nadav Hennefeld on the all-rookie team in the Big East. Smith trying to drive along the baseline is fouled by Oliver Taylor. It'll be the first foul on Seton Hall. Each club now with one team foul. Here in the opening minutes of play, we have played just a minute and 38 seconds. Chris Smith baseline, no. Rebound by Avent, foul on Hennefeld. Of course, 3 of these Seton Hall players, Cooper, Avent, and Volsey, all played in tournament action last year, and actually some pretty tough tournament action when they moved from the Big East all the way down to the championship game in the NCAA tournament. Chris Smith commits the foul.
Well, that experience helps a lot. What Seton Hall has struggled with this year, whereas a guy like Smith has helped out UConn, has been that backcourt situation, handling the ball. There's a little push by Smith. Good call. But UConn will get into the full court pressure, and this gets their whole game going. This gets their offense going, as well as their ability to turn it over and then get the ball back. Gets the athletes into the action. Seton Hall must get the ball into the middle as you see the early foul situation.
3-1. Connecticut with 3 fouls. Seton Hall with just 1. Cooper. Now Taylor to the baseline, goes all the way through.
He walked
out of bounds, walked with it.
Got himself in a difficult position under the basket.
Both clubs, Ronnie, as you look at P.J. Carlissimo, are very, very tight here in the early going.
It's not unusual to see. You get to tournament time, Madison Square Garden. Lights are on very bright and a lot of emotion. So the first few minutes of a game can be a big feeling out process. Once a few drop down, though, we'll get it rolling.
That's Smith. The sophomore from Bridgeport, Connecticut, ties the game at 2-2.
That's a nice look on the cut to the basket, give and go, as Seton Hall comes out with the man-to-man. And here's UConn's 2-2-1 pressure. They'll try to force it down the sidelines, not the middle.
The hair kicking it off, comes back inside to Cooper. He buries it. Michael Cooper, a senior. Franz Volsey, a senior.
That's a nice job by Seton Hall again, breaking pressure, and they're going right at it today.
Chris Smith comes around the Sellers pick, but can't do anything with it. That's Taylor on him. This is Tate George with Terry DeHare. The Dub Hennefeld. A 3. Doesn't go. Air ball. Picked off out of midair by Franz Volsey, by Anthony Avent, rather. Ahead it comes to Cooper. Try to swing it inside the steal. Tate George back. 2-on-2. George cannot finish it off, and he is fouled by Anthony Avent.
Again, Connecticut getting their offense, as we've talked about, off of their defense. A good steal here on a lateral pass across the court. And Tate George at 6'5", big enough to go in there with Avent. Good block, but a lot of body.
Tate George, senior from Newark, New Jersey. He's in the conference season, a 70% free throw shooter, average 11 points a ball game.
Tate George has done a great job throughout his career for UConn. As you see his numbers, sets the record this year for the number of games played, over 120 career ball games for Connecticut, all-time career assist leader. And he also broke the record recently for steals, so he's had a great career for UConn.
Seton Hall with a 4-3 lead. Tate George trying to tie it up for the University of Connecticut. They made the biggest jump in conference history from 7th place all the way up to #1. Conference co-champs with Syracuse.
Picked to finish 8th in the preseason polls. A great job by Jim Calhoun, really molding a young club into a very cohesive unit. This is where Connecticut wants the ball to go, right over midcourt. There's the steal.
Ahead it comes to Smith. Got DeHare to beat. Doesn't do it.
Oh, nice block by DeHare.
Play. Tate George. Now Hennefeld for 3. Short with it. Ball to the floor. Picked up by Burrell. Hennefeld again. Now George. 18-footer. UConn 7-4.
Good job by UConn, Gil, to come out with something positive there after a great play by DeHare with the block.
Taylor and DeHare getting it over midcourt for Seton Hall. Oliver Taylor trying to go on Tate George. This is Anthony Avent. Now ball slapped around and stolen. Burrell ahead to Tate George. Got a man with him.
Look.
Whoa, Avent sending Rod Sellers sprawling to the deck.
Oh, and Rod Sellers.
He is shaken up at the very least on that one.
Rod Sellers had hurt his knee against Georgetown about a week ago. But again, the steal, setting up the offense for Connecticut. Great look by Tate George and a real whack by Avent as he catches Sellers, obviously in a lot of pain.
Well, Avent made sure that Sellers didn't get the stuff. Oh, it'll be Rod Sellers shooting 2 for UConn. Averaging just under 9 points a game in the Big East Conference. He's a sophomore, Florence, South Carolina, and misses the front end of the 2-shot fouls. Good rebound. A good Good all-around player. Doesn't do anything spectacularly well. He does a lot of things very well.
He's improved a lot from a year ago, goes more to his offense this year, and really does a good job banging inside. Avent better watch out for P.J. Carlissimo not to pick up foul number 3. UConn a much deeper bench than P.J. Carlissimo has, and there's where they want him again with the pressure. Jim Calhoun calls that the alleys. Seton Hall will try to get it to the middle, and Connecticut will try to force Seton Hall down the sideline so that they can trap.
15:45 left to play here in the first half. Taylor, now Franz Volsi for Seton Hall, and again Oliver Taylor. Seton Hall showing good patience on the offensive end. Now De Gea, 3. Rebound Hennefeld. Up court, Chris Smith. George. Smith again. On the baseline. Weak side rebound, Burrell. He is blocked, and a foul. Franz Volsi picks it up. And Scott Burrell, the outstanding freshman from Hamden, Connecticut, who missed part of the season with a knee injury. Take another look at it.
Both teams are looking for their offense kind of quickly in the early going. Couple more passes, they'll get the easy ones. But UConn is doing an excellent job off the offensive boards, getting the front line, Volsi and Avent, into foul situations.
There he's a member of the All-Big East rookie team. 6'5", 200-pounder, Hamden, Connecticut. Also a great baseball player. First-round draft pick of the Seattle Mariners. He's a pitcher.
I bet he can bring it.
Imagine he can bring a little heat, don't you think?
That's right. Jim Calhoun looks on. What a great job he's done this year. P.J. Carlissimo has really worked his club now to a strong finish heading into the tournament, and they want the upset.
1 out of 2 for the University of Connecticut. 15:22 remaining in the first half. It is an 8-4 lead. UConn will be back with more Big East Conference tournament action in just a moment. All right, it is an 8-4 lead for UConn. And in the rebounding department, they have 5 offensive boards. Taylor over midcourt for Seton Hall. No changes for the Pirates. And for UConn, no changes there either. So the same starting 5 remain on the floor for both clubs. Going to be put in play by De Gea.
Seton Hall seems to be somewhat out of sync in their half-court set. Give credit to the UConn defense, but they do need to get the ball up top. And Taylor and De Gea have to take charge, particularly Taylor, see if they can't get some better ball movement without the ball and dump it inside.
Michael Cooper from outside.
He's been in offensively for the Pirates.
He's had 6 points, and they have 6 points. 2-point lead for UConn. Burrell whips it to intended for Hennefeld. Sellers got a hand on it. Tate George at 6'5", big, rangy point guard. Ball stripped out of his hands. Restolen by UConn. Smith gets it to Burrell.
Nice job by Chris Smith to hit the floor. Pirates in an aggressive man-to-man set right now.
Burrell, now Hennefeld. Nice blind pass to Sellers, doesn't get the hoop. Rebound tip to De Gea. So Seton Hall looks to tie it on this trip. 14:20 to go, first half, game 1, quarterfinals, Big East. Taylor buries it.
That's what he's been doing lately for Seton Hall, shooting the jump shot. As we mentioned, 21 in the big upset win at Alumni Hall against St. John's in the last game for Seton Hall. So he's really playing with some confidence right now.
And that one came from just inside the three-point arc. Hennefeld overshoots his target. We're tied at 8-8, 3:13:55 remaining first half.
Hennefeld's got to get it to the goal. He's just way off with the jumper so far in this one.
This time Hennefeld comes up with a steal. George ahead to Smith. They're 3-on-3. Sellers in some traffic, can't get it to drop, and Anthony Avent is there for the big rebound for Seton Hall.
It's a pretty nice job by Seton Hall to get back that time. One of the keys in this game for both teams is to try to cash in the open floor against pressure. As you see, Connecticut is just off to an abysmal start from the floor so far.
Steal by
a tie game because of the defense kill.
Tate George puts UConn back up on top, 10-8 off the steal.
Well, if there's an important factor in this game, it's going to be Seton Hall's ability, as we said, to keep their poise, handle the pressure, and Connecticut's ability to score when they do create the turnovers.
Seton Hall has allowed opponents to come up with 10 steals a game. UConn averages 12 steals a game. That time Franz Volsi gets the shooter's bounce, and it's tied at 10.
Now, Seton Hall is keeping themselves alive so far in an even game with some good shooting.
Tate George. And now Chris Smith, and Seton Hall very aggressive defensively here in the early going. UConn very aggressive defensively as well.
Looks like Seton Hall showing some zone this time, a 1-3-1.
That's an NBA three that's just missed by Chris Smith. Oliver Taylor, he has really come on this season for the Pirates of P.J. Carlesimo.
Started off very fast, then went into a lull for quite a while. Great hustle!
Oh, what hard work by Scott Burrell. Came up empty, but not because he wasn't giving it everything he had. Terreno Walker will check into the game for the University of Connecticut, and he replaces Rod Sellers. And also coming in for UConn will be Murray Williams. And the Dove Hennefeld sits down. John Gwynn is in for UConn, replacing Chris Smith. Well, the five for UConn out there now. Gwynn and George are the guards, with Walker, Burrell, and Williams up front. Gordon Winchester is in for Seton Hall. Three-point shot is about 2 feet short.
I think it was deflected. At least let's give Terry the benefit on that one. He was closely guarded.
Now Winchester in for Seton Hall, and he has replaced Anthony Avent. Inbounds pass is stolen away. Gwynn down court to Tate George.
That was pretty unselfish by Gwynn. He could have taken it in himself, but let Tate, a little soft two-hand slam.
8 points for Tate George. Ball is knocked out of bounds by UConn. It goes off Seton Hall. And so UConn gets the turnover. We have a timeout taken right now. 11:57 remaining in the first half from Madison Square Garden. There's your score. UConn by 2. We'll be back after these local messages. It's better than anybody else in the Big East, Ronnie Perry, and that is steal the ball.
Well, it's defense, defense. That's the name of the game for UConn, and it's a great anticipation. Tate George is getting in there and getting it done. And then on the inbounds play, you never want to do this if you're Seton Hall. Throw it away. No one in the neighborhood. John Gwynn, unselfish, gives it to George. A soft two-hand drop down.
George on the miss. The tip by Walker, no. The rebound by Winchester. 6-3 in turnovers, with Seton Hall having turned the ball over 6 times so far in the first 8.5 minutes of play. 8-2 in points off turnovers for UConn. Off the pick, that's Taylor, a little baseline shot. Rebound deep, comes out to Gwynn. Stolen by Taylor, and a foul. And Oliver Taylor, as he was riding John Gwynn up the floor.
Well, Oliver Taylor is looking for his offense. Terry DeHare now on the bench after not getting open so far in this game, and Marco Lokar in there. Look at John Gwynn, though, just ridden off the play there.
That was the 5th team foul on Seton Hall, so they've got only one more before UConn goes into the free throw shooting situation. Gwynn, instant offense.
He's got a quick release. He just one dribble and he just gets rid of the basketball.
He reminds me so much of Vinnie Johnson of the Pistons. He's not built quite as large as Vinnie is. Of course, there are houses that are not built as large as Vinnie is.
The microwave.
But Gwynn is really, that's the same kind of shooter. Doesn't take much motion. He gets it off real quickly, and he's tough to stop.
He really is, and he comes in and gives the team a big spark consistently all year long.
4th team foul committed by the University of Connecticut. And will be put in play by Seton Hall's Oliver Taylor. Hennefeld is back in for UConn, replacing, let's see, Tate George goes out as Chris Smith comes in, and Hennefeld is also back in for UConn. Now we've got, let's reset the clubs for you. Taylor and Lokar at the guards for Seton Hall. Cooper, Winchester, and Volsey are the front court. This is Oliver Taylor. Runs into trouble. Lokar, three-point shooter extraordinaire.
Marco, how about the 41-point game he has against Pitt this year, an all-time Big East freshman scoring record? He can light it up, and the shooter loves to make the first one. You can get hot.
Gwynn kicks it off to Murray Williams, comes along the baseline. He's in trouble, right into the hands of Lokar. And the freshman from Trieste, Italy, comes back for Seton Hall. Dumping it off inside, picking it up. Volsey, no. Slapped around. Cooper, no. He is fouled.
Looks like Murray Williams on the way down. A couple of lucky bounces for Seton Hall. Lokar got himself in trouble under the goal, but Seton Hall has been pretty good converting when they have opportunities.
That will put Michael Cooper at the free throw line. That is the 2nd foul on Williams and the 5th on the University of Connecticut. Now Franz Volsey goes out for Seton Hall, and Anthony Avent is back in to replace him. Now resetting Connecticut for you. It was not called a shooting foul.
I think it was on the floor as Murray Williams is going down.
Comes into Oliver Taylor. Foul line jump. Gets his own bound. Doesn't get it. UConn does. Walker to George. He's up there with Smith. NFL also on the floor. Chris Smith parries it. And it is UConn by 3, 16-13.
What Chris Smith can do for UConn. He's got the quick step, excellent leaping ability, can just jump over people. Pretty good job by the Hall that time to break pressure, but there it is again, careless.
NFL, who came into the game with 120 steals on the season, comes up with one here. Foul committed by Gordon Winchester of Seton Hall. It'll be a possession foul, as that is the 6th and the limit for Seton Hall. Here's the steal by Hennefeld.
I mean, this is one where you just can't throw it away if you're Seton Hall. Looks like Winchester was running away from the ball. Taylor lost contact with him, and again, Hennefeld has done that all year long.
Great anticipation.
Got a great sense for where the ball's going to go.
Gets it inbounds to Chris Smith. 16-13. UConn leads it by 3. Whistle, foul. Going to be on Oliver Taylor, and that will put Seton Hall over the limit, and it will put Chris Smith at the foul line for the University of Connecticut. 3rd personal foul on Oliver Taylor. He'll come out. Terry DeHare will come in. That's going to put Smith on the line. That's the 7th team foul on Seton Hall.
And if you're UConn, you should really up your pressure a couple of notches. Taylor, the point guard for P.J. Carlesimo. And now for Seton Hall, he'll have to get some handling out of DeHare and Lokar. Both really more adept at shooting that basketball.
All right, Chris Smith for the 1-1 for the University of Connecticut. The sophomore from Bridgeport, 17.5 points per game average in the Big East.
The big thing with Chris Smith is every game Jim Calhoun has been able to count on him for double-figure scoring. Every time they've gone out this year, except for 2 games, he has delivered the double figures. As you see, his average really has the ability to go by people as he puts up the 17.5 in Big East games this year.
The 2 free throws for Chris Smith, and a 5-point lead for UConn, their biggest of the game. DeHare in trouble in the backcourt, double team, gets it to Lokar. Quickly up court to Winchester. Left-handed it, got fouled. He'll be at the line. Terreno Walker commits the foul. That puts UConn at the limit of 6 as well. You look at it again.
This is a good job now by Seton Hall. Marco Lokar will get this ball from Terry DeHare, and he does not hesitate. And that's the beauty that time of Seton Hall breaking pressure. Jim Calhoun talking about some adjustments to stop that easy entry pass down low.
Gordon Winchester will try to hit the first free throw of the ball game for the Seton Hall Pirates.
It's an indication that they have not had much success dumping it in the paint area and going up strong with power moves.
P.J. Carlesimo looking out at his 6'7", 210-pound sophomore, Bronx, New York. One more for Winchester. Gets that one. Oh, it's 18-14. Now for UConn, Rod Sellers comes back in, and Walker goes out. UConn's got George, Smith, Lyman DePriest, Hennefeld, and Sellers on the floor. The inbounds was deflected out of bounds by Chris Smith off the leg of Marco Lokar.
That was a great individual effort by Smith just to save that one.
NFL to get it in play, and does. Tate George, now Chris Smith will bring it down the Madison Square Garden floor. Game 1 of the Big East quarterfinals. 18-14 lead for UConn. DePriest through a double team, blocked by Winchester. DePriest again gets it to drop.
Oh, great hustle by DePriest. Known better for his defense. He really loves to plug underneath.
Lokar getting it ahead to Winchester. He's in trouble. Ball is slapped out of bounds, and it'll be UConn ball.
The defense has gone up 2 or 3 notches, don't you think, Gil?
Yes, it does. It has, and it has forced Seton Hall's P.J. Carlesimo to grab a timeout. His club is down by 6. UConn Huskies leading it 20-14. 9:08 to go in the first half from Madison Square Garden. We'll be back with more Big East quarterfinal action. The game to be selected at the conclusion of this game, as during every game televised by the Big East Conference Television Network, part of the Chrysler Corporation sponsorship of Big East basketball. The University of Connecticut has forced 8 Seton Hall turnovers here in the first half. Smith drills the jumper, and an 8-point lead for UConn.
UConn's been getting their offense. 16 points out of Smith and George shooting the ball. That's where they want the trap again, as Seton Hall dribbles over midcourt into the corner there.
UConn's Michael Cooper is in trouble. Double team. Stolen again. This time Hennefeld.
Oh, good look.
Overthrows Chris Smith.
Looked like Smith might have been able to catch it, but wanted to bring it right in. He's always thinking, get it to the goal. Again, Hennefeld with the great anticipation skills and his head up, looking for the assist.
There's the Dove with another steal.
Just gets around there, no body contact. Thought Smith might have been able to catch it in the air, and then when he just took his eye off it, can't come up with the basketball.
Comes out to Cooper, and now DeHare, Marco Lokar. It is 22-14. UConn with an 8-point lead, their biggest lead of the game.
Marco Lokar's dad, a surprise visitor from Italy to watch Marco play today.
Baseline shot missed by DeHare. Cooper the rebound. Lokar dumps it off inside, but commits a charging foul. Charging foul on Lokar. Oliver Taylor will be checking back in for UConn. There's Alessio Lokar. The father of Marco came all the way in from Trieste, Italy, and surprised his son here early this morning.
That's a great surprise for his son, who's done a nice job for P.J. Carlesimo this year. And for his dad, he buried his first three today.
Certainly did. That was the last basket that Seton Hall got. It was the three-pointer by Lokar, as the UConn defense has just been as tough as it's been all year long. Smith, Tate George now. UConn looking for its first double-figure lead of the game.
Seton Hall has stayed primarily man. They're sagging quite a bit right now. Chris Smith really wanted to post up against Taylor that time to pick up foul number 4 against Taylor.
Tate George trying to come around a pick, but DeHare stayed with him. Now Hennefeld, they're down to 9 seconds on the shot clock. Hennefeld just fires it up there wildly, and it is controlled by UConn, but stolen away. DeHare's got Oliver Taylor with him. He'll take it all the way and is stripped by Chris Smith.
Oh, did Chris Smith stay right with that one? Talk about playing a 2-on-1 fast break if you're a backcourt man. He does a great job here. He's anticipating, jabbing back and forth. Ooh, it looked like he came in with a pretty good strip. Might have been a little body contact.
It will put Terry DeHare at the free throw line. The second personal on Chris Smith. Both teams are now over the limit here in the first half.
Terry DeHare really needs to break the ice in this game for himself. He can be a guy that can light it up. Leads the team in scoring, but unable to get it going so far in this one.
There's his first point. DeHare, freshman from Jersey City, New Jersey.
He's had 2 good games against UConn this year. He's had 18 in one and 14 in the other. As you see that among freshmen in the Big East this year, on top of the scoring ledger.
One more free throw for DeHare. Oliver Taylor will sit down. Marco Lokar's back in for the Pirates of Seton Hall. 22-15, UConn by 7. In and out, rebound by Rod Sellers. Tate George being pressured by DeHare. Now pressure in the backcourt by Seton Hall. Lokar backs off a little bit on Chris Smith. Smith, primarily a shooter, but still has the ability to run a plug. Like there, takes it all the way, does not get the basket, however.
What a move, though, individually by Chris Smith. He glides and lulls people to sleep, and then he's got that great burst of energy and quickness to get by here. Marco Lokar just dancing him back and forth, goes by him. They call that foul on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, it was close.
Lokar goes out, and Oliver Taylor's back in for Seton Hall. At the line, Chris Smith will shoot at 1-1. First one rattles in for him. Smith, George, Hennefeld, Sellers, and Burrell out there. 9 points now in the ball game for Chris Smith, and an 8-point lead for the Huskies. They've been quite a story this year, from 7th to 1st in the conference.
That's a major story. The surprise team. Of course, UConn would love to come into this tournament and win it. Be a first ever for them, get a high seed, perhaps a top seed in one of the regionals for the NCAA. And P.J. Carlesimo knows his team's going to have to upset here, ride through the tournament, and win it to go to the NCAA this year.
There's a downtown shot by Taylor that won't go, and Scott Burrell yanks down the rebound. UConn with a 9-point edge, their biggest lead of the game. Hennefeld, and now Tate George, the senior captain. Point guard of this club. He runs it well.
This is where he does a good job, too, where things have been quick for UConn. He'll bring it out and try to settle things down, get some patience, and that's what Hennefeld does as well.
Burrell posting up. Now George baseline back to Burrell. Open jumper. No. Rebound chased down by Franz Volsi. Offensive foul on Volsi as he caught Burrell with an elbow to the chops.
Franz Volsi, P.J. Carlissimo will argue, was just turning and pivoting with the ball. Burrell, though, did a good job when the turn did occur to go with it and go down. But this was a nice look by Tate George as he'll come into the picture, give it back to Burrell, gets the double, and Burrell with a wide open shot. And let's take a look at Volsi as he turns. Does he just pivot? No, he does throw the elbow in there too. Good call.
Oh, the foul on Franz Volsi. Wynn getting it inside to Ron Sellers. Ron Sellers missing the left-handed bank hook. Rebound to Anthony Avent. Seton Hall, one of its last 8 shots from the floor. There's 6 of 16 overall, and we have a foul on Hennefeld for elbowing Franz Volsi. 5:58 left here in the half. Go ahead, Ronnie.
It's been a difficult half for Nadov to get on track. He's done a good job with his bread and butter, which has been a couple of steals. But otherwise, his offense hasn't been there in this first half.
Taylor goes out. He's got 3 personal fouls.
Looks like PJ is really just trying to spot Taylor in there right now with the 3 personal fouls and milk that so that he doesn't pick up number 4 before intermission.
Franz Volsi is a very good free throw shooter. 80.5% during the Big East season on the free throw line for Volsi, a senior from East Orange, New Jersey. Average 11.5 points a game along with 6 rebounds.
What they've really looked for, though, was a game out of Volsi and Avent in this one, and Avent has yet to score in the first half. Volsi, has he got now 3 points? As you can see, he did play well against UConn, though, this year, but they need both players to get it done. But Seton Hall has been turning it over before they've been able to get it into their big people in this first half.
DeHare giving Smith some trouble coming out of the backcourt. We're going to get an elbowing foul on Terry DeHare as he elbowed Chris Smith up over midcourt. Oh, Smith will go to the free throw line again. Smith is our leading scorer in the ballgame. He's got 10 points. And he's followed right up by his backcourt teammate Tate George, who's got 8. Terreno Walker's back in for UConn, replacing Rod Sellers. Darrell Christ in for Seton Hall at that guard spot, replacing Taylor a moment ago. Smith to shoot 1 and 1 for the Huskies. They're 9 of 11 at the free throw line here in the first half. Seton Hall is 4 of just 6 attempts. Coming in, Connecticut was averaging 4 more free throw attempts per game in the Big East. Seton Hall was averaging 11 fewer attempts. So that tells you, Ronnie, that Seton Hall relies more on that outside jump shot.
That's right, and UConn does not have an overpowering inside game, but they do blend it in nicely with the outside shots that they typically take. Again, the pressure, as you can see, Seton Hall has the experience in the front court, but they've got to go with the young backcourt now with 2 freshmen, Christ and DeHare, handling the ball.
DeHare, nice look off inside, dumping it to Cooper, doesn't go for him. Ball rolls out of bounds off the hands of Terreno Walker or Hennefeld. They were both there. It'll be a Seton Hall ball.
That was
9-point lead.
Beautiful feed by DeHare. Instead of getting frustrated that his shot isn't turning up, he goes to the dish that time, and it was a beauty.
Ball is kicked by Hennefeld. But that was not a wise inbounds pass by DeHare. Had Hennefeld just glanced up for a moment, he would have had a steal. Darrell Christ will now do the inbounding for Seton Hall. Well, you see both clubs shooting less than 40% here in the first half.
They're down from their seasonal averages, and we really felt Seton Hall would have to stroke it well today. And for Connecticut to have an easier time, they'd have to shoot it well.
That's a 3. That is a 3 for Terry DeHare, as he breaks into the scoring column from the floor.
And that's what he can do. UConn was enjoying a 17-point lead at the Meadowlands this year. He got hot with the 3. Seton Hall started to do a good job against pressure, and that was a game UConn struggled to win by just 3 points.
DeHare, when he gets hot, can score a lot of points in a hurry.
Yeah, he's a streak shooter as Seton Hall goes to the 1-3-1 trap this time, and the cross-court pass will be there. Hennefeld loves that one.
Trapped in the corner is Burrell, loops it out to Chris Smith. 15 on the shot clock for the Huskies. They lead by 6 points. Wynn, now Smith. Thought he was going to crank a 3. Instead comes up short with it, an air ball to the floor, picked up by Darrell Christ.
Nice shot by Christ.
DeHare, they're 3-on-3. DeHare weaving up the floor.
How beautiful.
And he banks it home, and a foul is called on Seton Hall's Michael Cooper. So count the basket and the foul off the ball by Cooper.
Well, if you can't get it, Gil, just by standing out there and getting open, create it yourself, and that's what De Gea does here. Beautiful open court move, shoots the ball up over Torino Walker. He's got himself a couple of baskets in a row now.
As we told you, he can get hot real fast. 4:27 remaining in the first half. The Dove having a rough day from the field here in this first half of the quarterfinal round of the Big East tournament. Game 1 up after this one will be Georgetown and Providence. They staged a couple of 90-point-plus wars in the regular conference season. One more for Hennefeld.
Should be a fun one, as you see. The Dove has done a great job defensively, and he's continued to steal the ball in this first half for Jim Calhoun. And I think those free throws dropping down will help his confidence with the offense now.
It is 28-22. UConn with a 6-point lead. Christ is a freshman point guard, Holland Patton, New York. Cooper up on the high post, in a little trouble right now. Hennefeld, good defense on him.
They don't get that much penetration out of the top, and as a result, what's happening is the inside people, the table, isn't really being set for them. Burrell climbed that time, didn't he?
Right over the top. And that will put Anthony Avent at the free throw line for Seton Hall, the 6'9", 225-pound junior, Newark, New Jersey. He's got a 1-and-1. He's looking for his first point, too, isn't he?
He's done a great job rebounding this year. That's right, he has not scored yet. But again, without the penetration from your backcourt to give the ball to your big people on the blocks, really not much they can do except try to get some offensive boards.
Rebound went to Torino Walker. Smith back other end. No, Walker hits it, but it's picked off by De Gea. De Gea very dangerous in the open court. Now backs it up. It is a 6-point lead right now for UConn. 3:45 remaining first half.
The Hall's keeping themselves in it with some shooting. They're trying to find De Gea again.
He's getting hot. Baseline, squeezes it off on a double clutch, and he's fouled.
He wants the basketball right now. The confidence, you can see it in his eyes. A couple go down, and now the penetrating move.
The shooters know when they're on. And the great thing about shooters is, Jimmy Calhoun, the great thing about shooters, Ronnie, and you were shooters, even when you're off, you keep firing them up because you know sooner or later it's going to happen.
Yeah, and Terry De Gea is counted on to do that. That's his role on this team. And now people have to go out and play him, and that's what opens the penetration up for him.
De Gea. Well, he has now quickly come up to 7 points in the ball game.
What a really burst onto the scene this year, De Gea and Taylor. They played Wake Forest early, Michigan, and these guys came out firing. A lot of confidence, as you can see. The differential certainly favoring Connecticut from the line in this first half. And Connecticut comes in, a team that has shot in the mid-60s this year from the foul line.
3.5 minutes remaining here in the first half at Madison Square Garden. Big East Tournament quarterfinals. Our score right now, the University of Connecticut Huskies, the conference co-champions, lead the Seton Hall Pirates 28-23. 24 a couple of moments ago, they held a 9-point lead, but suddenly Terry De Gea started to get hot. There's our turnover situation, 11 for Seton Hall, and UConn with 12 points off those turnovers, Ron.
Well, that's been the story for Connecticut, their ability to cash in off of the turnovers. They've had some better opportunities, too. Had they been shooting the ball better, they could be up in double figures right now, but De Gea getting hot for Seton Hall. We talked about it, Gil, before the game. Connecticut has beaten Seton Hall twice this year. Awfully difficult to beat a team who knows some of your systems and patterns, to beat them 3 times in the same year.
Smith getting on the baseline to Torino Walker. Tate George. Now Chris Smith again. Open spot. No on the jumper. Anthony Avent the rebound.
That's one he's got to get to go down. Just a good open move by Smith, but unable to cash.
Christ out there in the backcourt with De Gea for Seton Hall. Steal, Tate George.
Great anticipation.
There's a big-time move.
But Tate George is playing with all kinds of confidence. So happy. He said yesterday, walking into the Big East Honors Ceremony, so much nicer to walk in a tie for first position to be than playing for the 8-9 game or...
Volsey on the miss. A rebounding foul is committed by Seton Hall. It was either Avent or, yeah, it was Anthony Avent commits the foul. That'll put UConn at the line.
Tate George, even on that play, as you see, Avent, who's just been in foul trouble in this first half, unable to get the ball in position to score. Finish up on that thought for Tate George, though. The very emotional kind of player for Connecticut, and he's seen both ends of it.
Yes,
he's really excited about this season for UConn.
Into the ball game, Dan Cerulik for UConn. And he replaces Rod Sellers. So it's Smith, George, Hennefeld, Cerulik, and Burrell for UConn. 1-1 for Tate George. On the season, the Big East, a 70% free throw shooter, does not get the first, so he will not get a second. Darrell Christ for Seton Hall. 2.5 minutes to go, first half. UConn with a 6-point lead. They dump it in low to Volsey, and that steps on Franz Volsey as he shuffled back in, trying to back him way into the paint.
One of the rare times, though, that Seton Hall has been able to just dump it into the low post effectively as the Hall goes to the 1-3-1 again, which they've shown sparingly in this first half.
Ball knocked out by Michael Cooper. Will be kept inbounds by the University of Connecticut. 35 seconds on the shot clock. 2:10 left in the half. UConn leading 30-24.
This is a good adjustment defensively by P.J. Carlissimo as his team has turned it over in this first half. They've been on defense quite a bit. And with Volsey and Avent with 3, perhaps they won't foul as much out of the zone.
Smith and now Tate George. 13 Seton Hall turnovers, only 4 for UConn. Charging foul and Scott Burrell. Possession foul, player control.
Nice job by
Cooper.
Nice job by Darrell Christ as you see 2 of the fine freshmen in the league going at it, and Christ gets good position as Burrell just buries him.
Avent being pressured by Cerulik in the backcourt. Cerulik is 7'1". There you see the turnover situation, 13 to just 5 for the Huskies. Cooper. Now Avent to Volsey inside, lays it in, and it's a 4-point ball game with 1:35 left in the first half.
Perhaps Seton Hall's best effort breaking UConn pressure, and the key, they got the ball to the middle and went right at the goal.
Smith and now Scott Burrell in low to Cerulik. Outside Tate George, count the basket, and he's fouled.
Well, it's been George and Smith in this first half, and Tate George, his senior leadership has certainly come through for the Huskies.
That was a 2-point goal as he was just inside the arc.
It's a big one, too, because it's a 4-point game. This makes it 6 with a chance to go to 7. The arm contact and nothing but net for Tate.
I want to remind you that at halftime, we're going to take a look at the 1990 Big East Conference Plymouth All-Rookie team. And you'll be seeing 2 of the young men that we've seen out here in the first half of this game, Gary DeHare and Dove Hennefeld. That'll be at halftime. George makes it a 3-point play.
Those 2 guys are a couple of the headliners on the All Big East freshman team. Both of these guys, Hennefeld and DeHare, have had great seasons.
13 points now for Tate George to lead all scorers here in the first half.
Cerulik is following Michael Cooper up top, just leaning on him.
This is Franz Volsey, gets it cross court, DeHare.
Connecticut in the 1-3-1 trap themselves this time.
Steal down low by Burrell. The ball is slapped out of bounds. It'll be Seton Hall possession.
Connecticut just with a lot of different looks, mostly pressure traps. And Jim Calhoun always has his team with the hands up in the pressure situation.
Now Lokar is into the game for Seton Hall, and we told you he's a 3-point specialist. He's really quite a bombardier from out there. 17 of 34 in the season. Stolen by Chris Smith. UConn with a 7-point lead. Burrell misses the stuff, hits the deck hard, and he'll be going to the free throw line. Boy, I tell you what, did he get rammed.
Wow, another big fast break opportunity for the Huskies. Chris Smith draws him. Darrell Christ able to get over there. And Scott Burrell, fortunate that he was able to get his feet back down as he tumbles hard. He can get up.
He'll be at the line to shoot. 2 free throws for the University of Connecticut. A moment ago, they were up by only 4. Now they're up by 7, and with 53.2 seconds remaining in the first half, they've got a chance to go up by 9 if Burrell gets both of them. That was their biggest lead of the first half, by the way, has been 9. For UConn, Cerulik goes out. Rod Sellers is back in. There you see the story with UConn. 35 steals in the 2 games.
That's been incredible, and that's what they've done in the first half. Even though they haven't really shot it, as we said, that would make it easier for them. But the key has been the free throw shooting for UConn.
Ball to the floor, possession arrow, UConn. Connecticut now 14 of 17 at the foul line here in the first half. 8-point lead. 49.6 seconds remaining in the half. John Gwynn comes in for UConn, replacing Lyman DePriest. And Tate George will put it in play for the Huskies. George, big point guard, 6'5", getting it outside to Burrell.
Yeah, the thing is he wants the ball, too. He's been in this situation before. Just goes and gets it and takes charge the way you have to. Spread offense now for Connecticut.
Well, they can run it down to about 4 seconds in the first half because they've got 30 seconds on the shot clock and 34 left in the half as the clock is running.
So important to execute in these situations. Don't turn it over. Be good with the ball. Jim Calhoun's got a 3-guard lineup out there as you see the game clock in your lower right-hand corner.
Now, Connecticut will have to shoot it before it gets to 4 seconds. There's your time remaining in the first half. George, Chris Smith. He'll take the shot and the shot. 10 seconds to go in the half. It is UConn by 10. Their biggest lead of the first half. They're on a 6-0 run.
Got to get rid of it.
Cooper will fire it up and doesn't get it. And UConn is up by 10 at halftime at Madison Square Garden. Well, UConn had pushed it up to as many as 9. It got back to 4. Now they're back up by 10. That's the end of the first half. Madison Square Garden. Our score, Connecticut leading 36-26. We'll be back after these local messages.
Lincoln Mercury dealer.
The University of Connecticut backcourt, the senior Tate George with 13 points in the first half, and Chris Smith, the sophomore from Bridgeport, Connecticut, with 14 points in the first half. Let's take a look at all of the individual scoring in the first half of the ball game. First of all, for Seton Hall, DeHare started to get hot. He's got himself 8 points, but Avent was Anthony Avent, their center, was kept for the collar in the first half, did not score. Connecticut, that backcourt's just doing a marvelous job.
That's where it came from. They just took charge in the first half, and John Gwynn with a good jump shot. They're banging inside, but it's been a backcourt duel. UConn with the big edge so far.
UConn, as we told you, finished the first half with a 6-0 run over the final 2.5 minutes to go up by 10 at the half. How can Seton Hall chop into this thing in the second half, Ronnie, and how can they prevent the steals? That's killing them.
They've got to do a better job against pressure, get the ball more to the middle to Michael Cooper and the big people, and get it low to the big people, and of course get DeHare hot from the outside.
UConn, conference co-champions this year in the Big East. They did it with defense. They're doing it that way here. Back with the second half in a moment. 36-26 over the Pirates of Seton Hall at halftime. A 6-0 burst over the final couple of minutes of the first half, giving the Huskies the lead and making that Husky a happy one here in the first half of play anyway. UConn will start the second half. Smith, George, Burrell, Hennefeld, and Sellers. It is not a big club. Sellers the biggest guy at 6'9", then Hennefeld at 6'7". Burrell and George at 6'5", and Smith at 6'3", but they are 6'2", actually. They're very, very quick and tenacious on defense, Ronnie. They never stop coming at you defensively.
That's right. They've got a lot of good size, similar type athlete skill, and they've always got their hands up. And I think it makes the passing lanes very difficult for people. They tend to have to lob the ball instead of being real aggressive with bounce passes that lead to baskets.
Oliver Taylor for Seton Hall to start the second half. DeHare guns a 3, doesn't get it. Rebound into the hands of Scott Burrell. This is Chris Smith ahead to Tate George, the point guard for UConn. Burrell on a high post. Now Hennefeld. George posting up himself. Does not get it, but gets a foul. Seton Hall committing its first foul of the second half. And this one is on Terry DeHare. It will put Tate George at the free throw line.
When Tate George uses his size advantage, they can go in and post up against people that are defending against him. Very important for Seton Hall in the second half early to get a couple of shots to go down. George having a very good afternoon for himself and cut this 10-point lead down instead of letting UConn build on it.
13 first half points for Tate George. He averaged 11 in the Big East season. Now 14 for the senior guard from Newark, New Jersey, as his head coach Jim Calhoun looks on. His 4th year at UConn. Took them from 7th last year to 1st place this year. To the penthouse in one season.
A nice trip to take.
Sure is. The 2 free throws for Tate George, and now UConn has its biggest lead of the game, 12 points. This is the point in time where Seton Hall had better be very careful, as UConn has the ability to rip off a lot of points off of their defense.
And it's the 2-2-1 press that they stay with. It's their mainstay defensively, and they continue to work at it.
Avent on the lob pass from Michael Cooper. Good little up fake, and he lays it in.
Well, P.J. Carlissimo clearly talked at halftime to his team about getting the ball inside. That's Avent's first bucket of the game, and you can see Cooper was really looking inside.
They go down low to Sellers. The jump ball situation is called. The possession arrow is pointing to, was pointing to UConn. It has to be going the other, was pointing to Seton Hall. And now the possession is Connecticut's. Our officials today, Jim Burr, Larry Lembo, and Bob Donato.
That's Jimmy Burr right there.
Tate George to try to inbounds. The UConn lead is 10. Hennefeld in the first half had just 2 points. But this man, Tate George, certainly took up the scoring slack that Hennefeld was unable to contribute.
Chris Smith poured in the points, so it was a lot of backcourt scoring out of UConn. Now they're mixing it up.
Scott Burrell. Little post-up move of his own, and again it's the Huskies by 12. Taylor gets it on the high post to Cooper. He got 3 men with him. Avent is trapped and stolen by Burrell. The quick hands of the UConn defense, and the story of the game, the steal.
That's still effective with the press, even when you get it underneath the opponent's basket.
Sellers wanted to post up. Avent had blocked his way. Now Burrell from the high post trying to make the move. Chris Smith dumps it off through the hands of Sellers. Hennefeld.
Nice look.
Nice pass. Slapped away, but Tate George has it on the other end for the Huskies. Still 20 seconds to go on the 45-second shot clock.
This gives you an indication of how long 45 seconds really is.
Beautiful move by George. Couldn't follow it up with the basket. Ball out of bounds off UConn. It will be Seton Hall bringing it down. Michael Cooper will put it in play. P.J. Carlissimo trying to figure out a way to prevent his club from having the ball stolen so often. There were now 11 steals in the game for UConn.
Got to be aggressive with the ball. You can't be tentative. Get the ball to DeHare and go right at things offensively.
Taylor, a rainbow from the corner. Tate George comes out of there. 2-on-2. George, beautiful pass to the trailer. Sellers fouled by Anthony Avent. What a great job by Tate George. Just the feel that that trailer was there.
Yeah, this is just a nice job. You wonder, how does he know? But he just peeked before this. Goes with the over-the-shoulder job. It had Avent not been in the flow that time, that would have been a big jam by Sellers.
4th personal foul on Anthony Avent. The 6'9", 225-pound junior. This is Rod Sellers to shoot 2 shots for UConn.
Now, in the NCAA tournament, Gil, this is where the coaches will have to make a strategic adjustment and get players out when they've got 4. But in Big East play, of course, this year with the 6 fouls, you can leave a player in there, particularly now where Seton Hall has to have everybody out there.
The 2 free throws for Rod Sellers. It is now a 14-point lead for Connecticut, their biggest lead of the game. And if Seton Hall is going to make a serious run here in this second half of the ball game, they're going to have to start it real soon. A foul as Hennefeld came up with another steal.
I think it was Avent.
Seton Hall is going to call for a timeout. Anthony Avent has just picked up his 5th personal foul, and right now the Pirates are in serious trouble. 17-17 to go in the game. UConn by 14. Round opening game, 42-28. UConn on top. They've outscored Seton Hall 14-4 over the last 6 minutes of play. That includes the last couple of minutes of the first half. George getting it low to Smith, a reach-in foul, and Darrell Christ, as Seton Hall has made some changes. They've got Lokar and Christ in the backcourt now, with Cooper, Volsey, and Winchester up front.
Well, P.J. Carlissimo has just been trying every combination in the backcourt to see what might click in this game.
Smith dumping it off inside, but we've got a foul before the pass.
Christ again?
Yes, it is, and that will be the 5th team foul on Seton Hall. The 3rd on Darrell Christ, the 5th on Seton Hall in the second half. UConn has yet to commit a foul in this second half.
Well, and the free throws were big for UConn in the first half, so we'll see if that continues.
Alley-oop, and not quite high enough.
Nice block.
Yes, sir. Darrell Christ pushing it back for Seton Hall. They trail by 14 points.
They really need to generate, as you said. They've got to get a couple of positive things going offensively, not taking good care of it.
Blocked there. Ball re-stolen by Marco Lokar goes to the deck for it, right into the hands of George.
Oh, good look.
Line pass to Smith, blocked by Volsi, and picked off by Michael Cooper. Play getting a little ragged right now.
Now, that was quite an exchange where no one was able to get the job done with the ball. Chris Smith gets a little sloppy at times, but Connecticut likes to create some havoc when they're playing against the opposition. They're doing that right now to Seton Hall. This is a great look by Tate George. He's lost a couple of assists here in the first half as Chris Smith can't get it to go down. Cooper with the strong board.
16 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the basketball game.
Connecticut now back to the man-to-man defense. They've mixed that up with some zone pressure.
Darrell Christ was looking inside, trying to get it to Volsi, but good defense. Now he gets it to Volsi, and a big-time block by Rod Sellers.
He got up that time, didn't he?
Didn't he? He was head and shoulders above everybody.
Got a new fitted brace on his left knee. Seems to be moving very well, and with the good dish here by Christ, Volsi just can't get it up over Sellers. Only thing Sellers didn't do was keep it in play.
Volsi with a jumper from the right and the miss, and the Tate George rebound. Ahead to Smith. Too far ahead. Keeps it in play. And into the hands of Gordon Winchester of Seton Hall.
Again, it looked like Chris Smith wanted to go up before he gathered the ball in.
Marco Lokar has hit one shot in the game, and that was a three-pointer. He is fouled, the reach in on Tate George. Second personal on George. Second team foul on UConn in the second half. Possession foul. John Gwynn will be coming in for the University of Connecticut. He replaces Chris Smith. Gwynn, the instant offense guy, junior from Hillcrest Heights in Maryland.
DeMatha High School. Great high school program. First player from that high school program to play in the Big East. And he has fit his role very nicely, as have a lot of people for UConn this year.
Cooper dumping it off to Winchester. The steal right out of his hands by Hennefeld. Ahead to Tate George.
Like Hennefeld, he's been the steal master all year long. He's open.
Traveling. Tate George moving both of his feet as he was getting that pass away to Hennefeld. UConn turns it over, and Seton Hall will put it in play. The Hall scored just 2 points in the first 4 minutes and 40 seconds of this second half.
Obviously not getting the kind of start we talked about for the second half, but Connecticut right now getting out of what they want to do offensively.
Michael Cooper, an offensive foul, has put Seton Hall at the limit of 16 fouls. So the next one they commit will put Connecticut on the free throw line, and that's where UConn made some hay in the first half.
Seton Hall just unable to capitalize when they get their opportunities.
Seton Hall has not scored in the last 4 minutes. Burrell outside. Volsi the rebound of the missed shot. Darrell Christ coming back for Seton Hall. They're approaching 5 minutes without a point here in this second half of play. They scored early. There's Lokar for three. No. Rebound the corner. Tate George. NFL. George, UConn up by 14. The shot doesn't go for George, but he was fouled by Marco Lokar. And Tate George will go to the line to shoot 2 for his University of Connecticut Huskies.
Well, Tate George has just really taken charge with the ball in this game. In a lot of games, he just runs the floor, gets it to people. In this one, he's shooting the ball over people. He's very offensive-minded, and he's got 3 or 4 inches over Lokar.
George is the leading scorer in the ball game with 15 points, 5 out of 7 on the floor. He also has 6 steals.
How about getting involved out there, Tate?
I think I recall him getting a rebound or 2 as well. One more free throw for Tate George. Senior out there with Wynn in the backcourt right now. Burrell, Hennefeld, and Sellers the front court. George gets his 16th point of the game and a 15-point lead for UConn.
Yeah, UConn's done what they've had to here, setting the tempo in this second half. And Seton Hall right now threatened to be put out of this game if they can't get a couple of things to go down offensively.
Lokar loses the handle on it. Back come Connecticut's Huskies. Burrell losing it. George has it blocked. Great play by Volsi.
And Winchester get in there.
Cooper to the basket, strong for 2.
Now that could be a turning point kind of play for the Hall to keep themselves alive in this one.
The basket coming off of the big defensive play breaks a 5.5-minute Seton Hall scoring drought. 43-30, UConn. Win. Looking for daylight, can't find it. He doesn't need a lot of daylight, I'll tell you that.
He'll launch it. He has just a crack out there. The Hall staying mainly with the man defense, and they've got to bear down now. Huskies in complete control.
Win. Tate George, 15 on the shot clock for Connecticut.
Sellers really wanted that ball.
Win. No. Rebound. Winchester.
Seton Hall doing a pretty good job now getting the defensive rebounds.
Darrell Chris now France Volsey. Winchester took steps. And they turn it over again. That's been Seton Hall's biggest bugaboo all year long, turning the ball over. And Connecticut has forced them into turnovers galore here in this one. In the first half, 14 Seton Hall turnovers.
That's what UConn has done all year long, and they've already got Seton Hall matching the turnover numbers that opponents have averaged against them this year with all kinds of time left to play in this game.
NFL goes out. Cyrillic is in for UConn.
I really think for Seton Hall to make the run, they're going to have Oliver Taylor and DeHare out on the floor.
A three-pointer by John Gwynn.
What he does best, fills it up with the jumper.
UConn by 16, their biggest lead.
You track points per minute played. You've got to have Gwynn right up near the top. 17 minutes a game, and he averages better than 10 a game.
Seton Hall has scored just 4 points here in the second half. As UConn has hit them with a blistering pace. Chris misses. Cooper had a hand on it, could not control it. It's out of bounds off Connecticut. It'll be Seton Hall ball. It was 36-26 at the half. A 10-4 start to the second half for UConn. Christ is out. Oliver Taylor back in for Seton Hall. Lokar on the inbounds to Cooper. Lokar again gets it back. Now Taylor.
Well, with the zone now, Lokar can hit the jump shot. And he's got great range. And UConn has to keep an awareness of him out there.
Volsey, Taylor, and now Lokar. Oliver Taylor for three. Gets the three.
That's not easy, Gil. He's been on the bench now for several minutes. Comes right out shooting.
Coming into this game, Taylor had hit 14 three-pointers over the course of the entire season. That cuts the UConn lead to 13, but Connecticut is playing like a team in control, Ronnie Perry.
Yeah, they are. They're working the clock. If they don't have the break, they're taking some time off it. And as always, they're keeping the defensive pressure on. The key for them is to score so they can set up that three-quarter court press.
There's Tate George, who's having a heck of a ball game.
He's got the feel, and again, look at Jim Calhoun changing defenses, and when you score, you really can dictate the tempo.
18 points in the game for Tate George. 15-point lead for the Huskies. This is their second biggest lead. They led a moment ago by, they were led by 16 a little bit ago. Now they're up by 15. Taylor getting on the high post to Winchester. Tries to make his move on Murray Williams, and a foul is called on Williams. That will be just the third team foul, however, on Connecticut.
For Seton Hall right now, against Jim Calhoun's press, what P.J. Colissimo will need is more penetration to get it to the big people to make a run.
11:40 to go in the basketball game. UConn up by 15. We'll be back to the Big East quarterfinals after these local messages. Perry, UConn has built its lead up to 15. They were up 10 at the half. Seton Hall has had a tough time in Big East tournaments over the years. You can see they've lost the first game 6 out of 10 times. 4-10 in the tournament overall. Comes inbounds to Michael Cooper. Cooper being pressured. Takes it low. Dump pass off to Volsey, but steps are called. And Seton Hall will turn it over. Tate George is 18 points, leading the UConn Huskies. There's a great turnaround season for them. Big East co-champions for the first time, never finished higher than 4th, and of course they're in the AP top 10.
A lot of firsts for the Huskies this year as they've put it all together.
Cyrillic, 7'1". Now Williams. This is John Gwynn. Gwynn takes it to the basket strong.
What Gwynn does, he gets people playing him out tight, and he'll get it to the goal on occasion. And here's Connecticut's 2-2-1 press. They'll try to trap just over midcourt.
17-point lead for the Huskies. This is their biggest of the game. Cooper, foul line jumper short. Picked off, and a foul.
Walking.
Traveling. Lyman DePriest was backing up, being bumped around.
Yeah, it might have been a little contact there, although Lyman DePriest was a great tight end coming out of high school, so he's used to that kind of bumping action. Seton Hall right now seems to be completely out of sync offensively as Connecticut's man-to-man defense and zone pressure is posing all kinds of problems. Oh, nice move though by Taylor.
Taylor's really been the only offense in the second half for Seton Hall. He has 5 points in the second half, and Seton Hall has scored just 9 in the second half. There's a reach-in foul on Cooper that will put Lyman DePriest at the free throw line. Tate George has 18 points, by the way, in this game so far, his season high, and he's threatening his own career high, which was 24.
It's a nice time if you're Tate George to put that together. Big East tournament time.
George also with 6 steals. There's Tate George. He's been the key man in this Connecticut 15-point lead at this point in time. 10:27 to play in the basketball game. Lyman DePriest, not a good free throw shooter in the regular season in the Big East, at only 45%. Rebound tip deep. Everything's going UConn's way right now, Lonnie.
That's right. When you've got the momentum in your favor, you tend to get the good bounces.
Williams, now DePriest for UConn. John Gwynn, that's how quickly he gets the shot off. Won't drop for him. Tip no. Rebound Winchester. Oliver Taylor's been the only really good offense in the second half for Seton Hall. Dickinson getting it low. Franz Volsi posts up for the hoop, count the basket, and he's fouled.
Well, a rare occasion where Seton Hall was able to aggressively get the ball down low to either Volsi, Avon, of course, out of the game right now with 5 fouls.
It's a good pass here from the freshman 7-footer Jim Dickinson.
Yeah, see, Dickinson can see over the defense there, and he just makes a good pass. Sarulik has got excellent position, but just leans a bit with the body. His arms were straight up. And Connecticut continues its dominance from the foul line. That's turning out to be a major story in this one.
Now they've outscored them by 13 and had 19 more attempts. 50-37. UConn. Williams is fouled by Franz Volsi. And Maury Williams will step to the line. He's a junior from Torrington, Connecticut. 3rd foul on Franz Volsi.
Number 32, Tate George.
Tate George back in for UConn. He replaces John Gwynn.
Nice job by Gwynn. Gwynn comes off the bench to score points. Lyman DePriest comes off with some steady defense. Sarulik comes in, Gil, to back up at the center position, rebound, and try to get some offensive rebounds, and they all seem to be filling those roles nicely.
They have some very good bench players. They really do.
And here's another one too. Murray Williams, who has started some games this year, didn't start today. Scott Burrell did, but Murray Williams, a steady player as well.
Rebound taken down by big Michael Cooper.
He is big.
Well, he certainly is. Looks like a linebacker.
He's chiseled.
13-point lead for the Huskies. Taylor trying to drive on Smith is fouled, and that'll be the 5th team foul on Connecticut, the 4th personal on Chris Smith.
He's given it the pushed off signal. Won't get the call though. Don't see too many of those reversed.
Nearly a 5-second call on Seton Hall. Marco Lokar had to quickly turn and call a timeout. So with 9:45 left to play in the basketball game, the University of Connecticut Huskies are leading it by 13 points. We'll be back to Madison Square Garden after these words from our local stations. With a 13-point lead, 15-13. Seton Hall has turned it over 22 times. UConn, Tate George, the leading scorer with 18 points and 6 steals, 1 short of the tournament record. Inbounds, squeezing off the 2 is Gordon Winchester.
And another big story there was the 17 more free throw attempts by Connecticut. They've gotten the ball to the goal in this game. DePriest with an aggressive pick against Lokar.
It is 50-39. Seton Hall is within 11. This is the closest they've been since the opening moments of the second half. Smith off balance shot, doesn't drop. Rebound, UConn, no. Slapped around, it'll be UConn ball.
DePriest in the right place at the right time, unable to cash in. And it looked like P.J. Carlissimo talked about defensive intensity during that timeout, as Seton Hall looks a lot more aggressive than they have defensively in this game.
Murray Williams to inbounds for the Huskies. Way out, throws it into the backcourt to Tate George. The Hall on a 6-0 run to try to get back into this thing right now.
Well, they've got to do it now. There's still 9 minutes to go, and they're only down 11. Oh, good look.
Beautiful. Beautiful feed. Tate George finds Rod Sellers. Drew the defense to him. Sellers all alone under the hoop.
He's doing it all in this game. Steals, assists, and points.
Well, he's a senior, and he is the captain. To the basket. Winchester short with it. Rebound Williams. Over the top foul Winchester. Murray Williams to the other end to shoot 1-1 for the University of Connecticut. Winner of this game plays the winner of our next game here at Madison Square Garden. Providence and Georgetown. Those two clubs played a pair of incredible games during the regular season. Both of them, both clubs in both games went over 90 points.
Right, it was a 1-point win for Georgetown at the Cap Center and a 4-point win for Providence at the Civic Center in Providence.
Williams drilling the front end of the 1-and-1, so he will get one more.
What a job Jim Calhoun has done. Coach of the Year this year in the Big East. Took a team that many people thought would finish, well, they were picked 8th in the preseason Big East poll to tie for first. A team that has just come together. A lot of times you talk about chemistry, but that's a good word to use for UConn this year. Not a lot of marquee players, but a team that plays well together. The defense is always there. Very good defensive team, and they're a very unselfish team. And they're deep. They've got people on the bench that can play. Taylor pumps a 3, drills a 3. He's had a heck of a game. He's the only guy really having a good game. All alone is Hennefeld. Home run pass. The Nadav Hennefeld, and it's back up to a 14-point spread for UConn. 56-42. Time remaining 8:15. There you see it. Every time Seton Hall does something positive, UConn comes right back. Is Taylor again. He feels it, doesn't get it this time. And the ball is ripped away by Rod Sellers, and we're going to get a foul. I believe that'll be number 5 on Franz Volsey. Number 4 on Volsey. Been a frustrating day, though, for Franz. Been able to get a couple of things going on inside. But again, we talked about the ability of Volsey and Avent to get it going together. And Avent with 5 fouls and just 2 points is on the bench. The hot hand has been Taylor. Can't get it to go, and there's a lot of people trying to claim territory to the ball. And finally, Rod Sellers says, it's mine. It's fouled on the play. Sellers with a 1-and-1. Nothing but net on the first one. One more for Sellers. His emergence this year in the middle has really helped UConn as well. We've talked about a lot of people in the middle, though. He's been consistent with the rebounding and the points all year long. From Florence, South Carolina. Doesn't get the second one. Murray Williams got into the way of it. The ball is tied up, and then we've got a reach-in foul on UConn on Williams. And that will be the 6th team foul on the University of Connecticut. So they are at the limit. Michael Cooper to inbounds for Seton Hall's Pirates. Here comes Oliver Taylor. And DeHare is back out there now. He's a kid that got to get himself back into the flow now. See if he can get a couple of threes going up there. That's the route that Seton Hall will have to go to down the stretch. 7:45 left to play in the ball game. Winchester getting it to Taylor, the baseline, the up fake, can't do anything, throws it away right to Chris Smith. 3-on-3, Williams on the cut, rapidly to the hoop for a pair. Nice fast break by the University of Connecticut. Smith over to Williams. They've got all cylinders going right now. Again, Keith Gill off of a steal. Been the story. Absolutely. UConn's quick hands and intelligence in getting into the passing lanes time and again have taken the ball away from Seton Hall 12, 13, 14 times in steals. We'll get the exact number in a moment. Over 20 turnovers for Seton Hall. Talked to Jim Calhoun before the game, and he said, we're going to play the pressure defense the whole game. We're going to play it for the rest of this season. It's what's got us here, and we are really effective at the ends of games. Teams get tired against us. DeHare can't get the ball to drop for him, but he was fouled by Rod Sellers. And Terry DeHare will go to the free throw line to shoot 2 for the Pirates, who are now down by 17. They had moved to within 11, but back came Connecticut with a 6-0 run. It's been a game of 6-0 runs for Connecticut. 6-0 to close out the first half, which I thought was a key, Ronnie, because if Seton Hall goes in at halftime down by Joseph, look at those points off turnovers, 26-6.
With 2 minutes left in the first half, Seton Hall was trailing by 4. UConn hit him with a 6-0 blitz. That made it a 10-point deficit at halftime. You got to feel a lot better going into halftime down by 4 than down by 10. Then to start the second half, UConn another 6-0 run, and here again. Now it's broken by DeHare's free throw, and UConn keeps putting the distance between themselves and Seton Hall.
Well, you make a good point, because I think 10 points is sort of a big psychological number at
magic number
at halftime, and if you can build on that coming out in the second half, that's what UConn has done. And Seton Hall just hasn't been able to effectively answer the challenge of handling the defensive pressure in this game.
Dove Hennefeld trying to shovel pass it off the dribble. The ball is out of bounds off Connecticut, and it'll be a Seton Hall ball.
This has been a game where Dove Hennefeld has been so critical in a lot of games for the Huskies. He has had a kind of a tough afternoon.
Yes,
he didn't shoot it well to start the game, but continues to do the little things, and other people pick up the slack, which is a sign of a real good team.
Well, there he is. There's a steal to Hennefeld. 3-on-2. Pulls up.
Knock it down.
Doesn't get it. Gets another rebound off it and gets it.
Good play by Hennefeld, and it's the kind of kid he is. He'll keep doing the little things.
The thing about Hennefeld, whether he's passing it or shooting it, going in for a rebound, economy of movement. He doesn't take a lot of steps to get to where he wants to be. He's very quick in his movements.
He's got a good sense of where he wants to be, and he's always near the ball.
Taylor
there he is
blocked.
again.
That time Hennefeld got a block. You're right, he's always near the ball. Taylor in the paint gets it to go.
Well, he's been the offensive story for the Pirates in the second half.
He got 12 points overall, 10 in the second half. 10 of Seton Hall's 20 points. Sellers has it stripped. A foul, however, is going to be called on Oliver Taylor, and that is number 4 on Taylor.
Boy, Seton Hall is really racking up the fouls now. Another area where Connecticut has been effective. Oliver Taylor pushes with his arms there. If he was over another half a step, he would have been in great position to take the charge.
5:41 left in this quarterfinal game. Game 1 of the day here at Madison Square Garden. After us, Georgetown and Providence College, and then tonight at 7, St. John's meets, Syracuse meets Pitt, and at 9:30, St. John's and Villanova. The missed free throws by Sellers, so it remains 61-46. 15-point advantage for UConn. They had that 15-point lead with 12 minutes left in this half. Now, with 5.5 minutes left, it's still a 12-point lead, or 15-point lead. Rebound Sellers, foul Seton Hall, and the Pirates right now, with only 5:22 to go, down by 15, appear to be playing their final game of the season.
Well,
Connecticut has really dominated this second half.
They have, and P.J. Carlissimo has tried different combinations. His team is frustrated right now, and when the team gets frustrated and the ball won't go down, you tend to see a lot of fouls, and they are mounting right now on the Pirates. Cooper just committing his 4th.
Sellers the 1-and-1. He's 4 of 8 at the line in the ball game so far. Gets the front one to drop, so he'll get another. Rod Sellers now with 7 points in the ball game. His season average is 9. Rebound Michael Cooper. 62-46. UConn. 5:18 to play. Cooper, DeHare, 3-point shot. No. Rebound Hennefeld. Here comes UConn, 4-on-2. George. 20 points for Tate George.
Does a nice job there to avoid the offensive foul.
DeHare, other end. Ball is out of bounds.
That was a foul on Rod Sellers.
I was amazed the whistle didn't blow.
I think Bob Donato might have called it.
Okay. He did call it. We didn't hear the whistle.
Well, his DeHare just looking at Sellers, he knew there would be contact, and he got it.
I didn't hear a whistle, and I'm thinking, they didn't call a foul on that? My goodness.
No harm, no foul.
DeHare will shoot 2 shots for Seton Hall. Just under 5 minutes to play. An 18-point lead for the Huskies is cut to 17, but the 18-point advantage they held just before that free throw, their biggest of the game. The University of Connecticut is really played a superb all-around game here this afternoon, Ronnie.
Well, it's been the way they've done it this year. They've just dismantled teams with the defensive pressure. De Gea, a player we'll hear a lot from.
Scott Burrell does not get it to drop on the post pattern pass from the Dove Hennefeld. Right from out of bounds, just let him down court. Burrell will go to the line to shoot 2. The foul was number 5 on Seton Hall's Franz Volsi. And Scott Burrell will go to the line for Connecticut.
Burrell, a good-looking athlete. He had arthroscopic knee surgery performed on his knee this year. Came back very quickly from it and seems to have recovered nicely.
Good-looking player, just a freshman.
He really is.
Hamden, Connecticut.
Good tools, quick, can shoot it.
5 points in the ball game for Scott Burrell. 6 points for Burrell. The UConn lead back to 18 points.
Well, Jim Calhoun, they've done a nice job of recruiting players of the year out of Connecticut.
Yes,
Burrell, Murray Williams, Chris Smith.
De Gea has it slapped away. Cooper tries to muscle up a pair, doesn't do it. Ball is kept in play. Tate George.
Frustrating to try to score on Connecticut right now. There haven't been that many uncontested shots for Seton Hall in this game.
Connecticut plays terrific team defense.
Always got their hands up, making the passing lanes difficult, the open jumpers difficult.
Hennefeld is fouled as he gets sandwiched between Cooper and De Gea.
No doubt about that one.
The Dove Hennefeld will go to the free throw line.
Is charged to Michael Cooper.
The Dove has 6 points in the ball game, below his 13-point per game average in the Big East on the season. And he is an 80% free throw shooter. But JRC, 5 steals for Hennefeld.
He contributes
Yes,
every
sir.
game. It doesn't matter if he doesn't put 20 points up. He gets in there and rebounds, and it seems that he's always picking up the steals as he's done all year long.
Hennefeld, a 20-point lead for Connecticut, their biggest of the ball game.
Well, for Connecticut, they just want to finish up strong because they know they'll have a tough test tomorrow with the winner of the Georgetown-Providence game. And for Seton Hall, for pride, just to finish up strongly in this game.
Taylor takes a 3, doesn't get it. Smith has the rebound deep.
This is where Connecticut now, under 4 minutes, will start to work the clock, spread the floor, take the easy one if it presents itself. Otherwise, just make the foul shots when you go to the line.
UConn by 20. Alley-oop went off the backboard by Hennefeld.
Had to get way up there to get that one.
Too much muscle. De Gea for 3. Buries the 3-point shot.
That's what Terry De Gea does at his best, hitting the jump shot. And he's really made his mark and presence this year in the Big East. Just a freshman with 3 more years for P.J. Carlissimo.
3.5 minutes left in the ball game. Connecticut by 17, 68-51. Connecticut has led it all the way in this ball game. Their first double-figure lead came at halftime when they went up by 10. And they have just built on that lead in the second half. Sellers, the post-up turnaround. 3 minutes left to play. Seton Hall last year into the NCAA championship final against Michigan. This year will get knocked out in the first round of the Big East quarterfinals.
Connecticut a year ago finishes 7th in the Big East. This year they tie for first. A lot of people feel they can make a very serious run in this tournament as well as the NCAA.
Absolutely. Avent keeping the ball in play to Volsi. Doesn't get it. You see how high Burrell got that time coming through the lane, Ronnie?
Well, watch his head on the rim. He was up there so high. Rod Sellers with a little wink.
So the University of Connecticut Huskies will win this one going away at Madison Square Garden. Anthony Avent comes out of the ball game for Seton Hall. At the free throw line, Franz Volsi will shoot it. And with 2:42 to go in the ball game, Rod Sellers goes out for UConn. Steals in the game. Connecticut, 17 steals, Ronnie Berry. They forced 24 turnovers. That is a Big East tournament record. 17 steals for UConn.
Just amazing. They've been all over Seton Hall in this game. We said one of the keys for Seton Hall would be to handle that pressure with a lot of poise. They haven't been able to do it. And for UConn, we felt they'd have to force turnovers. They have. And that's been the key to victory today.
Volsey makes it a 70-52 ball game. Only 2 minutes and 42 seconds remaining here at Madison Square Garden in this quarterfinal round. Connecticut, the conference co-champions, will advance as you see the lead by 17. We'll be back in a moment. Turnovers for Seton Hall. They've turned it over 23 times against Connecticut and back in January, and then 22 tonight, 24 this afternoon. 24 turnovers for Seton Hall. Connecticut has it's made 17 steals. That breaks the tournament record Villanova held back from 1986. UConn by 17. Their biggest lead was 20. Chris Smith had 14 points in the ballgame. All 14, Ronnie, coming in the first half.
Well, he extended the score in bunches this year. Remember a game at Syracuse, we had 25 in the second half. Just a matter for Connecticut now with George and Smith and Gwynn, the three-guard lineup, to run out the clock.
Smith getting it to Burrell and back to Chris Smith. Jose Rabimbas into the ball game for Seton Hall, trying to guard Chris Smith, which not too many people have been able to do effectively all year long in the Big East.
He lost that one, though, took his eye off it.
2:05 to go. UConn will move into the semifinal round against the winner of Georgetown and Providence. Now they split with Georgetown. They swept Providence in the regular season. DeHare into the paint and all kinds of Connecticut traffic. You know, tell you, Ronnie, sometimes it looks like UConn has 7 players on the floor. They play defense so well. They slide from spot to spot so well. It sometimes looks as though there's more than 5 of them out there.
I know it feels that way for some Seton Hall players tonight. Everywhere they've moved, it's been traffic.
All 5 guys were in the paint.
Yeah, they helped
went to the paint. All 5 guys were there.
The way Hennefeld helps out on that play. Tate George with the reach-in foul.
DeHare to shoot.
He's got great form shooting the basketball.
There's 16 points in the ball game as he will lead Seton Hall in scoring. Tate George, leading scorer in the game with a season-high 20 points. He's also had 6 steals in the game and has been the floor leader.
Got to say, his overall game has been just outstanding in this one. Look at the Dove handle it.
And the Dove handles it pretty well. He's a pretty good-sized kid at 6'7.5", 220, but he handles the ball well. He gets fouled and will go to the line.
He brought this team together this year. Early in the year, they lost their first 2 Big East games. And the Dove Hennefeld's presence on the team has really brought everyone together.
Now, Terreno Walker has come in for Connecticut. Seton Hall making changes now. Michael Cooper, the senior for Seton Hall, leaves.
Nice hand for him.
Plays hard.
What a nice career for Cooper. He's had a tremendous season this year for Seton Hall. Probably game in, game out, their most consistent player. We got a nice hand here from his fans at Madison Square Garden.
Now Cooper fouls out in his final game at Seton Hall. And Hennefeld shooting 1-1, rattles the first one down.
It touched a lot of parts of the rim, didn't it? Tough afternoon.
71-55. There you see the disconsolate Seton Hall players.
Cooper was sitting next to Avent, and Avent will also be back. He's a junior.
So it's a 17-point lead for UConn with 1:45 remaining to be played in the basketball game. Connecticut led by 10 at the half and then broke it open. DeHare, a 3, gets it.
He's quickly and quietly cutting himself 20 points.
UConn really put this one away with an early 10-2 spurt to start the second half. As Seton Hall went about 6 minutes with only 1 basket, and that's what killed them.
Yeah, this start to the second half. You're just kind of marveling at the way Chris Smith looked like he had almost had a string on it, the way he gets the ball down so low. Can't imagine how you could take it away from him.
Down to 1 minute and 10 seconds to play in the game. Tate George, 20 points, 6 steals in the game. Just 1 short of the individual tournament record.
Good luck.
The Dove getting it to Terreno Walker. That's what I mean about this Connecticut team being a very unselfish team.
Well, that's a great example of it. And the Dove Hennefeld, again, doing the little things.
Rebound, Scott Burrell to Chris Smith with 40 seconds to play. UConn
dangerous.
Will advance as Tate George just flipped it in the air. Taylor back down to 30 seconds to play. Connecticut will advance to the semifinal round against the winner of the Georgetown Providence game. For P.J. Carlissimo's Seton Hall team, the season is over. For Jim Calhoun's team, Ronnie Perry, the season may well be just beginning.
It could be. They're off on the right foot today with a win in the first round. It's so important to get through this game. Jim Calhoun will empty the bench
and bring in all his reserves. 5 players are coming in. Actually, now let's see. But Smith at the line, so 4 will come in. Smith's replacement will have to wait. And Seton Hall empties the bench as well. And the University of Connecticut Huskies, who have had a Cinderella season going from nowhere last year, 7th in the conference, up to the Conference Coach Championship this year, will win their opening round game in the Big East tournament big time. They lead it by, right now, by 16 points, but that really doesn't tell the difference in the ball game, Ronnie. It's been a 16, 15-point lead most of the second half, but it's played like a 20-point lead, and they were so confident and comfortable with the lead.
Yeah, I mean, you never really thought that Seton Hall was threatening Connecticut in this game. Chris Smith was dominant in the first half. Tate George, and overall the defense has been outstanding. Seton Hall, a difficult finale. Franz Volsi, a senior, also wrapping up his career today. An outstanding one at Seton Hall. Anthony Avent will be back. He is a junior.
DeHare for Seton Hall on the miss. Rebound kept in by Seton Hall. No, rebound slapped around. Cerulic tipping it over, and Piquel loses it out of bounds. No, it went off Seton Hall. It'll be Connecticut ball.
Kerry Keating almost able to get it to go down. The AD son, Larry Keating, for Seton Hall.
That is the ball game. The University of Connecticut Huskies win it by 18 points. As Jim Calhoun on your left, P.J. Carlissimo of Seton Hall on your right. The Huskies, Jim Calhoun, exchanging pleasantries at the end of this one. That's going to be the end of this basketball game. The quarterfinal matchup, the final score, the University of Connecticut 76, Seton Hall 58. We'll be back with some post-game comments in just a moment. 6-0 spot to make it a 10-0 lead. I don't think Seton Hall ever recovered from that, Ronnie.
No, they didn't. They really couldn't handle the basketball in the game this afternoon. Connecticut's pressure was too much. A tournament record for steals. They were turning the ball over, Seton Hall was, and as a result, Connecticut eventually got their offense going, built that lead, that 10-point lead at halftime, which they extended with the momentum going into the second half. And as you mentioned, I don't think Seton Hall ever really seriously threatened after that point.
Connecticut started the second half with a quick 8-2 run, and suddenly they were up by 16 points, and really they never looked back after that. Tate George is our player of the game for this one. A spectacular performance. Our Plymouth player of the game. Tate George, 20 points, 6 steals. And let's take a look at some of the things Tate George did in this game.
Thought he just completely took charge as the floor leader for Connecticut. He got confident early. He's been around. He's experienced. He was throwing in runners. He was stealing the basketball, playing with enthusiasm, and I thought he really elevated the level of the players along with him. I thought Chris Smith and Tate George in the first half were outstanding. As the game wore on, as Connecticut does it with their full court pressure, they get contributions from a lot of people.
Connecticut had a tournament record 17 steals in the game. They forced Seton Hall into 25 turnovers. Connecticut wins it going away 76-58. The UConn Huskies are now 26-5 on the season. So along with Ronnie Perry, this is Gil Santos reminding you again our final score from Madison Square Garden. The University of Connecticut 76, Seton Hall 58. This has been a Big East Conference Television Network production.